Okay, we now have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and get started as soon as Mr. Gates is able to be seated. Good afternoon. Okay, first point is we're going to set the agenda. So first item be approval of the minutes of the last meeting. I want to publicly thank the Vice Chair, Mr. Valiant, for chairing that meeting as I was absent. Second item, motion to propose amendment to Rule and Reg, Section 11.8. Third item, request for approval of Knox County Sheriff's Office job descriptions. And then the fourth item is Sheriff Spangler is asked to address the Merit Council regarding scope of merit protection. So any additions or deletions from the stated agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is set. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Second item, motion to propose amendment to the Rules and Regs, Section 11.8. And there is a copy of it in your packet. So I'll ask the Executive Director to please do an explanation on this.
This would be to align the Sheriff's General Order regarding compassion leave with our rule. So our rule currently says 3 days consecutive leave, and the Sheriff's Office General Order is 5 days. Those days do not have to be consecutive.
Any questions for the Executive Director? So just in summation, the motion is to put our rules and regs in congruence with the directives within the Sheriff's Office, excuse me. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve this.
Motion. Need a second? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Third item, request for approval of job descriptions. Which one would you like to handle first?
Pretrial probation officer certified.
Thank you.
The pretrial probation officer certified under education and training requirements, number 1, we are requesting that the bachelor's degree be removed. This will allow for more law enforcement officers to bid on the position.
Any questions from the council?
Yes.
Mr. Crichton?
That's the only reason for removing the bachelor's degree is to get more people to be eligible to apply?
So that's a law enforcement officer position, so you have to be certified. We have law enforcement officers who don't have a bachelor's degree, so they're not able to put in for this position. We would just like to remove it to allow all law enforcement officers to be able to put a bid in to be eligible to be selected for the position if we choose them.
Does this set a precedent within the county of lowering standards?
I don't believe so, because we already have law enforcement officers working within our pretrial. This position specifically just required a bachelor's degree. So we're just removing that bachelor's degree requirement.
No. Okay.
Following up on Mr. Crichton's question, have you had an issue with people not being able to apply? Is that what they should, did I miss that?
Yes, we have.
Okay, thank
They
you.
don't have the bachelor's degree, so they've not been able to put in for the
Okay.
position.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Just one more second, I'm sorry.
Okay. Go ahead.
I guess I have a follow-up question. As far as this is used or being utilized to expand the number of officers that can apply for the position, what percentage of officers do you believe have a bachelor's degree or have obtained a similar degree? Is it?
I would say our law enforcement officers, and I don't have an exact number, but I would say maybe 20-30% of our officers do.
Okay.
And then the rest of them don't.
And I'm sure that that's not indicative of their ability to do the job. It's just, again, I'm just curious as to what that number would be.
Correct.
Okay.
And to apply for our law enforcement position, like for patrol, for instance, a bachelor's degree or college degree is not required.
Understand.
So.
Thank you.
What's the typical training that goes into this position specifically?
I don't have that information, but I can get that for you.
Sheriff Spangler, any of your staff present be able to answer that question, sir? Okay. You please come forward, sir? Thank you.
What that position requires also, Mr. Valiant, is pretrial. They monitor those individuals that the court puts on the pretrial. They also monitor them when they're having ankle bracelets put on them, things such as that. So it is a 24-hour, if you will, job for those individuals. It's not the requirement that's been in there for a while for the master's degree. It's just so that we have so many people who do not want to do that job. And it's not lowering the standard. It's just that those individuals or who have that's not the job that they want to do. So we want to give that opportunity to those officers that want to be able to work in there. It is an office job other than being in the courts all the time and then also having to go out on the street sometimes and follow up on these individuals.
Thank you. Any other questions, Mr. Valiant?
Yeah, just I want to touch on briefly, I guess, point number 6 under the required duties, the communication directly and through written documents with judges, attorneys, defendants, and the Attorney General. If these individuals are having to prepare these documents, are they responsible for these documents, both preparing and presenting?
Those forms, yes, and they're in the courtrooms doing that. Those are pre-formed forms, if you will, so
Okay.
they're not having to go through the research and things such as that.
Okay. If that's the case, then I would, unless, I'll allow there to be any further comments or questions if there are any.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
So if there are not any, I'll move to approve this.
A motion from Mr. Valiant. Need a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I have one point for further discussion.
Okay.
If this motion were to pass, shouldn't a high school diploma be enumerated in the duties? I understand it's implied because the employees would need it, but I would refer to the legal experts here. Is there a difference between an explicit requirement and an implied requirement?
So the high school diploma is requested or required when they fill out the application to be employed with us. So it's required on the front end when you apply.
Well, it's also required in all of these others too. It's explicitly listed. Shouldn't it be changed to include it in this position?
I mean, if it's not there, we can add it if you all feel like we need to. It is required on the front end with the application.
No, I'm really not trying to be difficult. I'm just, I would leave it up to the legal experts to decide.
Well, for
that.
consistency, I think your point's well taken. Just to be consistent in job descriptions, it would be, in my estimation, prudent to make sure that they're all the same. That way there's
Yes, sir.
There's no ability to misinterpret if they're all the same. Thank you. Just one point before we vote, on the face page, I know it's not a big deal, but if you could do a spell check on probation up top before it's submitted to the commission. There's 1B and probation. Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Any further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Second.
Oh, aye. Aye or nay?
Aye.
Are you voting in favor, Mr. Crichton?
No,
No, okay. Any opposed?
yes, opposed.
Okay, it passes 3-1. Thank you. Next item, next one.
Next item is the OPS secretary.
Thank you.
We are requesting that the OPS secretary grade be changed from a grade 8 to a grade 10. This position has attained additional job responsibilities under the required duties. The additional responsibilities are listed from number 8 to number 14 on the job description.
For clarification, could you explain the job grade system of identifying? Is it based on pay, or what is the grade on a specific job description? Why does this go from an 8 to a 10? Is there an increase in salary and
Yes,
benefits? or-
it would be an upgrade from a grade 8 to a grade 10.
Okay.
So when this position was created, it was at a grade 8. We've added some additional job responsibilities to this position, which is why we're asking for the upgrade to a grade 10. And each position under merit is on a grade and
Right.
step.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
I'll move to approve.
Need a second on the motion?
Second,
Second from Mr. Crichton. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
aye,
Any opposed? Passes 4-0. Next item.
Next item is the Lieutenant Detectives Environmental Crimes Investigator. We are requesting that the title be changed from lieutenant to captain and the grade be changed from grade 13 to a grade 15. This would be an upgrade. This position was created by Knox County Commission due to there being a need for a sheriff's office liaison to work with the Knox County Engineering and Public Works to investigate ordinances violations, enforcing zoning codes and other environmental enforcement actions deemed in the public interest. Commission has agreed for the change for the upgrade within the position.
I'd like to ask a question. I think on the third page, it was just highlighted in yellow, the minimum of 6 months with the office of law enforcement lieutenant. Is that a pretty standard, is that standard language or a standard requirement of 6 months? I guess in order to become a captain, 6 months with the office as a law enforcement lieutenant?
Yeah, it is standard. So we changed that because this position was, right now it is a lieutenant. So that actually did say on the current job description, 6 months as a law enforcement sergeant. Because we're changing this to captain, we've changed that rank to lieutenant.
Any further questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve this.
second,
Second by Crichton. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
aye,
Passes 4-0. Next item.
Next item is a new job description. It's the program specialist. This position will be responsible for processing all volunteers that come into our facility. The program specialist will also be responsible for all duties associated within the position within our programs unit. This is a civilian position.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
Second by Crichton. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the question. All in favor? Signify
Aye.
by saying aye. So moved, 4-0. Believe we're on the last job description.
The last job description is mental health transportation officer. This position will be responsible, it also is a new position, I'm sorry, it's a brand new position. This position will be responsible for transporting mental patients from surrounding Knoxville hospitals to inpatient psychological facilities, psychological facilities in the state of Tennessee, as well as inmates from the Knox County Detention Facility to either Moccasin Bend or Middle Tennessee State facilities. So currently, we don't have a mental health transportation officer. We've been using our transportation officers' positions to fill the mental health transportation, to fill that need.
Any questions from the council?
Is this type of a position, or is this type of transportation going to require some sort of specialized transportation unit, I guess? I assume it can't be done in a standard vehicle.
There is a 2-week course that they will have to complete if they go into the mental health transport officer position. They do have to complete that before they can do mental health transport.
Are they going to have to, I guess, is there going to have to be something to also get the transportation unit, I guess, whatever vehicles used to transport these individuals? I guess, is that going to have to be approved as well, or is that already in the budget?
That's already there. Those individuals in the warrants division and transportation people, I'm sorry, they're already doing that in the current cars we have. So we will have vehicles for that.
Any other questions from the council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Valiant, I need a second.
Second?
Second by Crichton. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the question. All in favor? Signify
Aye.
by saying aye. Did I get 3?
Yes.
Including me, 4, yeah. I didn't say anything yet, but thank you.
Thank
It
you.
passes 4-0. Thank you, ma'am. Next item is I call on Sheriff Spangler regarding the scope of the merit protection, sir. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Mr. Chairman, council, thank you for having me. I apologize for last month. I was in Kentucky at a board meeting and didn't make it back in time. So hopefully I gave you all enough time to either have your meeting or, as you did, decide not to have it. So, but I appreciate you accommodating me and letting me come in today. Mine's going to be very brief today. A couple of things I want to talk about. I think there's been at least some talk from what I've heard and asked about me as well. As far as the chief deputy's position, whether it is protected or not, under the private chapter, and I think Mr. Morton, I'm sure you know about it, under 326, which is House Bill 1743, it states in there that the classified service to which this act shall apply includes all positions and employees in the sheriff's, I hate that word, department, its office, except for the sheriff, his chief deputy, and his personal secretary. That has changed even from just before I came in office or after I came in office too. It used to list the cook was also appointed. I'm glad that they took that out, but I'm not sure that I'd get upset with a cook unless he did something just tremendously wrong. So the chief deputy is appointed by the sheriff, whoever the sheriff is. So there's no question he doesn't fall into the merit council protection. And Paula, you can correct me here if I'm wrong. I know when I was a chief deputy, I took a leave of absence from the merit board. So that's, if anybody from that position or is anybody that is appointed from the sheriff's office, that is an opportunity for them to take a leave of absence from the merit council protection. But if for some reason the sheriff wants to not have them anymore, then they have that protection to go back to the last rank that they held before they were promoted to chief deputy or whatever position. Am I correct in that?
I would actually have to defer to Myers on that since the ordinance has changed in 2021. No longer does the chief deputy have to take a leave of absence
Right.
down with that. So as far as coming back after that point, I would assume that would be.
And I wasn't even referring to about as far as them running or anything. It was just the appointment from the sheriff to that position. So, and I got the memo from Paula about our appointed positions, just so that you know, since I've been in office, I have only appointed it's 5 or 6 on there. Seven positions that I have appointed since I've been in office. So that's up to the 10 positions. When I did come in office, there was a lot of positions that were still appointed, but I was not about to come in and start firing people. So those positions were still there. So we still have people under appointments that were already previous to me coming into my office at the time. So just so that you understand that there's been some positions, and I think getting with Paula back when I first come in office, I wanted to make sure that we did things the right way. We had a bump in the road about, 6 months into it. We got through that. I think we fixed the issue. We're working well together, which I'm grateful for. And I just want to make sure that whoever comes in after me, because somebody's going to come in here in 1 year, 11 months, and 14 days. Because that's how much time I have left since I'm term limited. So somebody's going to come in here, and I don't want to leave them with what I came into. I want to make sure that we have all these, because there were some positions that were appointed that come in front of not you all as a board, but as a former board. They didn't come to you. They were appointed, and then they were put under merit council protection, but didn't go through the process that you're supposed to go through. So with those being protected, when I come in office, I couldn't touch them. Not that I would, but whoever the sheriff was at the time, if they were to come in, you couldn't do anything to those individuals. So that's been corrected. And I think with the work that my human resources officers with Amanda and Paul and everything, I think they've gotten that pretty well squared away, and everything. I hope we've got everything squared away with what we need to be doing and doing it the right way. So I would suggest sometime in the near future, maybe sit down and you all maybe have a discussion about some of the protection on positions within the agency. You might want to look at that. And the reason I say that is because whoever comes in as a sheriff, just like any other office, you want to bring in your staff, so to speak. You're not coming in firing people, but you do want to bring in those people that either have the expertise in a certain area, and those may be, and more than likely, they're going to be the people that are already working there. And you may have somebody that's of a lower rank that you want to put up in that position as an appointed position. So those are some of the things you might want to think about, giving that sheriff, whoever it may be, that opportunity to be able to bring in a staff of who that they feel can do the job for whatever it is. And the reason I say that is if somebody comes in and they, again, you try to take the politics out of it, but if there was somebody that was really against you during something and you're always butting heads with them, you can't put the trust into those individuals. So you've got to really have to work with what you have and make it work. So that's some of the things that I'm just saying, as a board, you might want to sit down and discuss that, and I'd be more than glad to sit with you and talk about that at a later date if that would help at all. Outside of that, as I said, I was going to make it very brief. I think that's all that I had that I wanted to go over with you all, and I appreciate your time. If there's anything else, you have any questions of me, I'll be more than glad to answer them. If not, again, thank you.
I think I've got a quick question. I think you said something. My understanding with the way the rules are drafted currently, that all of the appointed positions, I think there has to be something submitted to cover those individuals under the appointed position. So I think the way that it's been changed is that I don't think there's an automatic, because I do remember that language that you're talking about, it'll include the cook and these specific individuals. I think the language now is just broad. My understanding is it's the sheriff and up to 10 additional appointed positions at his or her discretion. And so I think those individuals need to be, to designate them properly, I think something needs to be sent in to the executive director, I think.
He did just give that to me at the meeting today. So
Okay.
I haven't shared it yet, but
Okay.
I do have that.
All right. Well, then, yeah, that should be, and then you brought up another question, I think, surrounding was it the protection of those individuals? Is that correct?
Not those individuals as appointed, the protection of those people that either you put into another appointed position, such as if you have a staff or your administrative staff of people that either not doing the job, which if they're not doing the job, then I guess what you do is you either demote them or fire them. But you want to put people in those positions that you can trust and also give them that protection. But it also allows them, if they come into that position and it doesn't work out, or if you don't want that individual in that position, then they fall back to that next previous position they held. So they're not being fired. They're actually, I guess it's a non-voluntary demotion, if you will, by bringing them back down. But there needs to be, there's got to be some discussion about being able, whoever the sheriff is, to be able to bring in a portion of staff to come in. And when I say staff, you're talking about at the administrative positions, such as any assistant chiefs and things such as that. Anybody that's going to be involved with policy making.
Sheriff, would it be appropriate or timely to identify the specific positions that would be appointed, or?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, if you have, this executive level, these whatever 8, and they're identified by position, not by rank, but just by position, whatever that person's duties are, because I understand the merit protections are for their former rank. So the issue that we have is if you or your successor were to move somebody that's under merit right now, that's on an executive level, because there's a potential loss of pay, it would be grievable.
Right.
And in my experience, the department head or the office holder needs to have the ability to select their executive staff, the policymakers, and have those folks that, as you stated, have absolute trust and congruence in the policy discussions. And with the sheriff's office position being an elected, there's always that wonderful dynamic of politics that gets involved.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I dealt with 2 in my prior residency, and then dealing with an appointed also, it becomes very tenuous when you've inherited folks that may or may not be like-minded, and it actually is disruptive to the good order of the office. So it's something, and I appreciate you bringing this up, because it needs to be properly vetted so that individuals within the office and within the public view have the ability to converse about this and get the best remedy for the community.
Is that not the purpose of the 10 positions, though? with the 10 appointed positions, is that not the purpose? I mean, perhaps you're the person I should be
No,
asking.
as you said, it's very broad, so it's for any positions that the sheriff deems necessary. And those positions, you may not, that sheriff may not even come in and change anybody, but it may be one or two. It's not going to be a whole host of people. Can't be. I mean, you're not going to be able to have that many people as your administrative staff anyway. I mean, unless somebody comes in and decides they want to have 20 chiefs or something.
That wouldn't be good.
No.
Any other questions for the sheriff? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you all.
So as suggested, we'll probably place this as an agenda item for our next meeting. Is there any further business for the council? Hearing none, we stand adjourned. Thank you.